The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerf Herder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Well, welcome everybody to another fun-filled, fact-filled episode of TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. I am Jim, and over there is Jeff.
Here I am.
There you are.
Actually, I needed to call you and tell you that I couldn't show up for this recording. My mom wanted me to stay home and have dinner with her, so I will meet you at the 7:30 recording.
I hope that she doesn't make an emergency breakthrough here and interrupt the show.
It is such a throwback.
A throwback is right. This episode almost comes full circle for me because how many times have I mentioned on this show the ABC 4:30 movie and how it shaped my mindset? You won't shut
up about it.
I won't shut up about it, but we've had, I don't know what episode number this is, 328. I can count on one hand the amount of movies that we've covered that were actually on the 4:30 movie. The X from Outer Space is one of them. We just did that a few episodes ago. That was fun.
Apparently, I had no access to the 4:30 movie because half these movies that you were bringing to the table, I have never seen before.
Frankenstein Conquers the World was a big 4:30 movie. We did that one. There's a few Godzilla Toho movies that were on the 4:30 movie. I don't know if this counts or not, but Planet of the Apes, of course, was...
They used to do a marathon, right?
They used to do the week-long marathon. They used to have to cut out Battle, though, because they had to split the original over 2 days, so that left no room for Battle, which is all right by me. Ended at Conquest, and I'd be happy.
Interesting. Okay.
But today, we are covering two 4:30 movies. One that is titled The 4:30 Movie, which is Kevin Smith's new comedy.
How apropos.
How apropos. And so I just thought this was a perfect opportunity to, go into the archives and pull out another older 4:30 movie, which was played on the ABC show of that same name, Badronald. Now, not only was this a 4:30 movie, but this was one of those movies that haunted me. You know, I would put it up there with Beware the Blob and Tourist Trap. Watching it now in the cold light of day or even in the dark of night, it's not as bad as what I remembered it to be.
Yeah,
but I credit the effect that the movie had on me to Ernie Anderson. Now, you may not know Ernie Anderson by name, but you sure know him by voice because he was in the 70s and for much of the 80s, the omnipresent voiceover of ABC. So he would always be tonight on the ABC Sunday Night Movie.
Tonight, an ABC Sunday Night Movie special.
And there's a little snippet of him. I don't want to invite any lawsuits from his estate, but this is only for informational purposes. I believe it was him. I could be wrong because I could not find the commercial, but there always had a preview of what was coming up on the 4:30 movie the day before. And it would be like tomorrow on the 4:30 movie. And just hearing his voice say, Bad Ronald. And then the clip that they showed was Ronald putting that guy, watching sports on the couch in a headlock and pulling the couch back. And that was the only scene. I'm like,
that was it.
And I knew the plot, of course, that he lived in the walls. I'm like, well, what if somebody lives in my walls? I'm looking for peepholes in my walls. He was smart. He was putting duct tape on his side so the light wouldn't shine through, but I guess he missed that at the end. But we'll get there.
There's a couple plot holes.
There are, but I still hold it very near and dear. Also, before we get into it, if you're listening, if the title, the 4:30 movie, drew you to this episode, then you will be very interested to know that next week is our annual Thanksgiving Monster Marathon. And when I say marathon, I just mean 2 movies, but
it's our 7th.
Our 7th. Wow.
Yeah,
it's been insane. Up there. I like to affectionately call it the WORTV TMI Monster Marathon because it's completely inspired by the WOR Channel 9 here in the New York, New Jersey area holiday special where they would show King Kong movies on Thanksgiving and Godzilla movies on the day after, which is Black Friday. And we always try to pair a King Kong and Godzilla movie.
Yep.
And this time... Well, actually, I'm not going to say. Wait till the end of the episode.
Oh, wow.
Wait till the end of the episode, and we will tell you what the 2 movies will be for the following episode.
You can just scroll. Oh,
all right. Let me take a breath now.
That was a lot to take in right there.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, if this is your first experience on TMI, welcome. We'll do our best to break down these 2 movies. We do spoil them, even though... Bad Ronald is out there in the 1974.
1974.
So
yeah, this is its anniversary. It actually premiered on ABC October 23rd. So we're only a few days out.
50. Yeah, 50. Crazy. But anyways, we'll get there. We have to get through some news first, and then we'll hit the 4:30 movie.
All right.
News. Jim, grab your wagon, grab your oxen. Let's get ready to ford a river because Apple is in development for a film adaptation of the Oregon Trail. You remember this very popular grade school computer game?
I do.
Available on floppy disks. I don't know. What was it? You had to take your wagon west. This is super nerdy. This goes back to like 1971. So you are literally talking about the dawn of computers in schools. And this was, I guess, the go-to game. I don't even know if there were other games. I know the graphics of the little green wagon, and there was all kinds of storylines in which you could battle typhoid and you could die from dysentery.
So this is like a wagon training Western set show that's just kind of taking the title Oregon Trail and doing whatever, right? Because it's wide open in terms of story.
Yeah, right now I don't have any. So I guess the film pitch is still in early development. And there's 2 gentlemen, Will Speck and Josh Gordon, are attached to direct and produce. But there are rumors that the movie will feature a couple of original musical numbers in the vein of Barbie, which makes me go, what? I don't know what to make of this. I mean, the game has got cult status. Are they making fun of it?
Maybe it'll be good. Maybe they need to do this to spice it up. Who knows?
Well, is this where we're going now for our intellectual properties? We're digging deep into, are we going to get Tetris? Oh, wait, we had Tetris, the movie.
Did we?
Actually,
really?
I think that is on Apple. And that's actually a really well put together movie about the guy who actually created.
Oh, Tetris. Yeah. I know.
It's not like Cubert, it's not like they're taking the concept of the video game. I don't know. I'm thinking they're going to be playing this for laughs.
Cubert, that was one of my favorite arcade games.
That was
They
hard.
could do a really good movie if like Cubert came out of the game and was, an animated character in a live action movie.
And he had to just climb upstairs all day.
There you go. There's your pitch right there.
How about Joust? That was always a hard ass game.
Well, that's another one. You could just, have a medieval movie and call it Joust. And
you gotta be riding those ostriches.
This is true. It would have to be in a separate reality. Dragon's Lair, you would die every 2 seconds.
I can't believe that hasn't been adapted into any kind of film. Or I think there was a cartoon. I think there was a Saturday morning cartoon because it was animated by Don Bluth, his studio.
My favorite of the adaptations is Street Fighter. Jean-Claude Van Damme, baby.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. So there you go. We could all just die from dysentery watching this movie. That's it. There's really not a lot of news going on out there.
I was watching the first couple of episodes of the new season of What We Do in the Shadows on FX.
Final season, isn't it?
final season, and a preview came up, another one, teaser for Alien Earth. And my eyes are so bad. It said coming, and then it said summer, and I thought it said 2028. I'm like, what's the point of? But no, my wife corrected me. It was a 5, not an 8.
They're getting out ahead of them real early. So next summer, huh?
Yeah.
And we don't really know anything about this.
They're on Earth.
Okay.
That's all we know. All right. Well, let's go to the 4:30 movie. We got tickets.
You got tickets?
We got tickets.
We don't even need tickets according to this movie. You just sneak in.
Well, you and I have done this, not together, but many times, I'm sure. Sneaking into movies.
Yeah, but most of the movies I've snuck into are like big cineplexes where
it's very easy to do it. Yeah.
Just look like a little tiny labyrinth.
This movie is just teeming with nostalgia. For somebody of my age, and I was looking at Kevin Smith's bio earlier, and he was born in August 1970. I was born in November 1970, and you're a few years before. So we both know exactly what he's talking about. Every reference.
Oh, absolutely. This guy
reference.
He is king of all nerds. And I say that lovingly. He wears his nerddom on his sleeve, and we applaud him for that.
Yes. And as you said last time, this is the first Kevin Smith movie that we've covered.
Which is ridiculous.
On the show, which is ridiculous. It's not like crazy. We're avoiding him. It just never happened. So
and his oeuvre is Clerks. We're looking at the 30th anniversary of Clerks, which dropped in 94.
But even besides that, Mallrats is just like a geek tome.
Yeah. Well, even Chasing Amy, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Chasing Amy is fantastic.
Have you ever watched Red State with John Goodman?
No,
departure from his regular.
Have you ever watched Tusk?
Oh, I knew you
Justin
were going
Long.
Yeah.
Talk about a disturbing movie that I put on par with Beware the Blob and Badronald. And
was that before was that before Kevin's heart attack? Because I think afterwards he softened up a little bit.
I think it may have been.
But you know what? Kudos to him for trying to. I mean, that is a bat-ish crazy movie. Not so. So, I mean, don't even forget all these movies, but he's also written for Marvel and DC.
Yes.
He actually had a Superman film in development.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that.
I think Tim Burton came on board, and then neither one of them ever came through, but he's also responsible for the Masters of the Universe Revelation animated series that dropped on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're ever in Red Bank, New Jersey, but Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash.
That's
course.
Where
they filmed. That's where they filmed Comic Book Men. I was there once years and years ago.
If you're ever in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, you can visit Smodcastle Cinemas.
Well, that's where they filmed this.
Yeah, and he owns it.
Yes. So again, king of all nerds. I own a comic book store and I own a movie theater. All hail. King of the nerds right there.
And I just map quested it. It's about 2 hours away from us here in slightly upstate New York.
Wow. Am I smelling road trip? Now with this movie out, probably people are all coming down.
Yeah, I know.
Make sure you drive your movie mobile.
But unfortunately, we missed it in theaters ourselves.
I think a lot of people missed it.
Yeah, I don't even know if it played here in our area.
Yeah.
But it was released theatrically, maybe limited in September. But it is now on streaming. You probably saw it on Prime, and I did too. When I say Prime, I mean we paid $14.99 for it.
Which is actually the cost of a regular movie ticket, and now I own it.
Yeah.
That was the only way you could purchase it.
I know, and if you've got more than one person watching it, that is a deal. That is a deal.
Yeah. My wife cursory over her book, laughed a couple times, and
well, that's high praise.
That is, she actually paid attention.
Yeah.
Yes. So this movie takes place May 25th, 1986.
Yes. And I apologize because seeing some stills from the movie and seeing the main character, whose name is Brian, and we know his name is Brian David because Melody keeps calling him by his full name. But
well, if you want to turn it into a drinking game, every time he says Melody Barnegat,
yeah,
you will be completely inebriated by the first half hour.
But the character wears a police Ghost in the Machine.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
For, most of the movie. And I assumed and you can never assume that the movie then took place in 1981. But he's just a very cool cat.
You would think he would have outgrown that shirt by now, but no.
And by the way, let me just tell you that I was a huge Police fan in the early 80s, being
I think you still are you not?
I am a 10, 11-year-old because my father was, and he would have the 8-track of the Police albums up to that point, and Ghost in the Machine was the latest in 1981. And that symbol on the front, it took me years to realize that's their faces. It was like one of those, just like in Mallrats, one of those, what did they call those 3D art things?
Those 3D art things.
Like one day I was looking at it and it suddenly came clear to me, those are 3 faces. I just thought that they were digital, some kind of code or something.
Wait, the ones that look like my mom's alarm clock?
Yes.
That's faces?
Yes. Sting is in the middle, and I don't know who is who on the either side. It's Andy Summers and Stuart Copeland. They're probably interchangeable because I don't know. Like one of them has like a fringe. Yeah, look at it again.
You are blowing my mind right now.
I don't feel so bad now.
No, I am today years old learning that one.
Yeah.
I just thought the ghost got in the machine and effed up my alarm clock. So my aunt actually exposed me to, I think it was, what is it, Zenyatta Mandata? Is that the other album?
The one that has Don't Stand So Close to Me.
Yes. And I remember my uncle laughing at the do da da da.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, really?
But that was the point. You got to tell him that's the point of the song. He's admitting it's stupid in the lyrics.
Right. And we loved it.
Yeah.
So there are so many. This almost reminds me of the Pop-Tart movie that Jerry Seinfeld dropped, where there are so many like pointed references to the time that they're in. At one point, somebody even makes a mention of the Mets. There's no way that they'll ever make the World Series. I lived in Queens in 1986, and the New York Mets famously made it into the World Series and won. There's little throwaway gags like that throughout this movie, putting it squarely in 1986.
And just the amount of references just come at you hot and heavy. And rather than be overbearing, like say if this was a movie set in the 90s and the references like were in this coming at you at the same amount, I might find it a little bit much. But because this is like my time, I'd like to say, I was just giddy with everything that was being thrown at me, like the Bob and Doug McKenzie, the wrestling at the Brendan Byrne Arena. I know that's supposed to be the WWF or WWE, as they call it now.
Well, it was the WWF.
Well, they didn't call it that in the movie, but
I thought when we met the sergeant,
Major Murder.
Major Murder. I thought it was
WWW in the movie. So it was they had to change it a little bit, I guess. But Major Murder, obviously either Sergeant Slaughter or WWF, Corporal Kirshner or the real guy, but they did have him hold the Intercontinental title, which was a WWF title. Okay. So everything in here I was into. Everything that these characters were into, I was into.
Of course. He's running around. Brian's running around reading Starlog.
Oh.
Yeah. That's.
I have to go get the new Starlog.
That's the Bible. That's the nerd Bible right there. Didn't matter what was on the cover. You had to buy it. Yeah.
This kid would have been my hero just because he almost got to second base the previous year from when this movie is set.
So this literally starts out with him calling up this girl, Melody, to ask her out to the movies. There's not much of a plot to this, which is fine. He's had a crush on this girl since last year. They flash back to them in the pool. And she gave him an opportunity to make it to second base, and he played it cool. And now he's regretting it, and she thinks he's not interested.
Yeah, because apparently they really haven't talked for the whole year until then.
You had to pick up the phone and call each other.
Yeah.
He ghosted her long before ghosting was a thing.
Yep.
You're going to say they didn't run into each other in school?
But maybe she's been holding a torch because she says yes.
She does say yes.
Yes, she does.
And I was very distraught because at the beginning of that scene, he throws a donut in the oven and then we never see it again. And I'm like, did he leave it in the oven? Did he forget all about it? He was so excited that she said yes. And they mentioned Poltergeist too, and I literally had to look at myself going, wait a minute, did they make a second one?
Yes. You don't remember the preacher at the screen door?
I do, but it's been so long since I've seen that movie, for all I know, that was in the first.
Well, not a lot of people go back and revisit Poltergeist 2 if given the choice between.
So maybe we should one day. Is that what you're implying?
But that was a valid point, though, that Brian had. That why it's not right. Poltergeist 1. It's just Poltergeist.
It's just Poltergeist.
But everybody, for every sequel, kind of, once a sequel comes out, you kind of automatically do that in your head, But
there was some disparaging remarks thrown at Star Wars, which I was not happy with. But yeah, Star Wars was Star Wars until the second one came out, and then all of a sudden it was A New Hope, and now Star Wars just encompasses all of it. I like these characters a lot. We really have like 4 main characters.
Oh yeah, and you've got the 3 buddies.
Yes,
the triple Bs. Brian, Bernie, and Belly.
Why are they all? It is a little much. It's like
and Melody Barnegat. Everybody's a B.
Yeah, we got Brian, we got Bernie, and we got Belly. Even though they call him Bell pretty much throughout the whole thing. Yeah. And then yes, Melody Barnegat.
And Bernie is like the classic. You see this in a lot of in the coming of age movies where the more put upon geeky character he's the
Matthew McConaughey of the group.
He's got that the cool guy friend.
Yeah, sure.
And you see it with, Stephen King's Christine, Arnie and Dennis, Richie and the Fonz is another one that comes to mind.
You got a Fonzie reference.
As a matter of fact, those are both Cunninghams, Richie and Arnie.
There you go. Ooh.
You can't be named Cunningham in a movie or a TV show.
Yes.
But besides, the trio that forms the center of the movie, there's so many cameos in here.
Like Scorsese and some of these other
But it's fun to watch, just like the references.
Of course.
Just like the references, it's fun to watch them. I haven't seen Jason Lee in how long in a movie?
I know. Yeah, he is that is a cameo. It is
Justin Long, as that guy in line. Stank is his name.
And I know that Jason Mewes has a cameo, but I did not catch him.
He was in the preview, the Nun preview.
Sister Sugar Walls.
Yes.
That is Kevin Smith's daughter, Harley Quinn.
And that is Jason Mewes as the John.
Okay, so I missed out on that. We mentioned Comic Book Ben earlier, and when he was calling up at the beginning of the movie, when Melody, because she works at a Chinese restaurant, that is Ming Chang yelling at him. So even some of the comic book men get in on this.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And we got, my favorite running joke in this whole thing is this Astro Blaster and the Beavermen, which is a cheesy 80s Flash Gordon style.
They even went as far as to kind of recreate that Queen feeling music at the beginning.
Absolutely. You're leaning into that whole vibe. I thought it was fantastic, and it was just a running joke because at the beginning you hear it, they're giving away tickets on the radio station Z100, which is still to this day a huge radio station in New York that I'm sure you can hear all the way to Jersey. And that comes back because they get into the theater. Here's the one thing, which is, so they end up in the theater watching Astro Blaster. Brian claims that he has seen this movie 14 times and yet then questions what trailers they're going to get. It would be the same trailers every time you saw this movie. They would mail the trailers along with a reel of the trailers along with the reel of the movie.
Small quibble.
It was just an excuse to throw out aliens and all the.
But those were very well done. I liked the grittiness when you transition from what's happening in the real time movie to what's happening on screen.
Oh no, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It's just it's a fun, feel good Yeah, it does just kind of catapult you back to that time.
By and large, I think that this really captures it. I don't know if it's like just all the references that they're throwing, the Starlog, the real deep cuts, kind of things. Yeah. I felt like I was there.
When they were driving to they're in Bernie's car and they're driving to the theater, and there's this musical montage with them singing and dancing to Shaka Khan. Mm-hmm. Like, this may be my favorite car dance sequence. It really kind of took me back to the opening sequence of that 70s show where they're all in the car singing and whatever. Right. But it was just like, that just shows you the relationship of these three characters and that they're completely at ease with each other. They are one. It was a lot of fun.
But the movie that Brian asks Melody out to is Bucklick. So you can't say that too fast.
This is a running joke. UB Bucklick. And it's
you see the poster as they're waiting in line, and it looks like Fletch.
It is a Fletch ripoff.
Yeah,
clearly a Fletch ripoff. Yeah. Again, like you said, a deep cut. So I was actually at the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery yesterday, and I took a picture for Instagram of the Underhill Mausoleum, and said the one time I tried to put everything on the Underhill's account as a Fletch reference. And I guess if you get it, you get it. But there's Hands Across America, which is such a flash in the pan. And if you weren't there to experience it, you would never know what was going on or why this was happening. And yet in 1986, Hands Across America.
I wasn't quite sure why it was going on in 1986, to be honest. I wasn't completely clear on all the motives, but it's funny because one of the characters says, "Oh, we'll have to do it next year." Like there was no next year.
There was no. It was a one and only. It was supposed to take you were supposed to connect from the East Coast to the West Coast. You're right though. I don't remember what it was supporting. We were not politically charged as kids. We didn't care.
The Live Aid was probably about the height of my political awareness.
There you go. Yeah. I wish I still wasn't. I didn't care. Yeah, this is once you get into the movie theater, then we're introduced to manager Mike, who is Ken Jeong. He's a lot of fun, but he's over the top. But
his character has the movie mobile, which is the movie theater version of the Batmobile, which has its own set of credits in the closing credits. I noticed. Yeah. So they've got to get around him because their plan is, I believe, to sneak into several movies. All day long.
The whole point of this movie is it's an R-rated movie, so they're not of age.
Right. Well, they get in, they pay to see Astro Blasters, which is a legitimate PG, right? So they can get into that. But then the plan was they didn't never really speak what their plan is, how to, at one point towards the end of Astro Blasters, okay, now you got to go to the restroom and then I'll follow you. So they're going to hide in the bathroom and then maybe sneak into the next theater from there. Right. Solid plan. But also you have Adam Pally as that goth usher. So he was very hard to get by. Yeah,
he was the guy that was not too complimentary on Star Wars.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to like him, so.
No, well, mission accomplished then.
Yeah.
He was a jerk.
So that's really it. It's like them surviving this day in and out of theaters in this movie complex.
Yeah, it looks like maybe 3/4 screenings.
Yeah, which is just like in Poughkeepsie, New York, here in the 70s, 80s, and before, the Juliet Theater had 4 theaters, and that was my local theater. I just ride my bike to the theater, chain it up somewhere, a block down, and then wait in line to go see E.T. or go see Raiders of the Lost Ark or Return of the Jedi. What have you?
I think they were trying to sneak in to go see Night Nurse or Nurse.
Yeah, that was. I think that was what they were going to see in between Astro Blasters and Bucklick.
And then
dental school.
And then a big speed bump happens because Brian gets called out of the theater, as you alluded to, the emergency call.
From Rachel Dratch playing his mother.
We don't have cell phones, so mommy wants to get a hold of Brian. She's got to call the theater.
Yep.
And manager Mike not too happy.
I'm surprised that she doesn't do this all the time. That he's not been banned before for this because it seems like Brian is at this theater all the time.
Right. You would think this is not the first time that she's done this.
Yes.
And it's a very embarrassing conversation that's going on. Mike is not too happy. He wants his phone back. I got to go, Mom. Yes. Tell her you love her, Fonzie. Jason Lee. That's where we see Jason Lee is his
dad.
Even Melody's mom. I'm going to butcher her name. Kate Masucci. She's a well-known voiceover artist, but she's also half of the comedy duo Garfunkel and Oates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She shows up multiple times, as well as Rosario Dawson. Get a little cameo from her.
She's no stranger to Kevin Smith movies.
No, like you said, Jason Biggs. He shows up in one of the fake trailers, Booties. So,
I know, which was like a Ghoulies, takeoff, right?
They come out of my butt. And you mentioned this major murder. This guy comes back into play, and it's a little forced. It's a little much, but
but Sam Richardson, who we know from Werewolves Within, Hocus Pocus 2, he's a joy in this movie as the Sergeant Slaughter, Corporal Kirshner type character. And he just kind of reveals himself because he's there in town because they're going to be at the Brendan Byrne Arena, right? So he's there meeting his wife in the park. Which one does he actually talk to?
It was Bernie.
It's Bernie, the cool one.
So what happens is that the boys end up in a fight. And this is the one takeaway you can from this movie is that girls ruin all relationships. Because these three boys had a pretty tight thing going on, but it didn't take much for the introduction of Melody.
But it wasn't her fault. It was their fault.
It's Brian's fault because he's obsessed with him, but it's like, all right, dude, so you're the cool older one. And you can't get over it. Listen, I'll tell you straight up, one of my best friends in high school, the minute he had a girlfriend, I was second fiddle and I was not too happy about it. And it happens. So what we didn't mention was, you mentioned Exposed before, was the fact that Belly gets kicked out of the theater because a little boy gets into a fight with the little boy at the concession stand. And the little boy says, Dad, this guy just exposed himself to me. So he promptly gets kicked out. They sneak him back in. And then he gets kicked out again for pleasuring himself in the bathroom. I'm like, that's when the cops get called.
Yeah.
You don't just let him go back out into the world. They all get banned. Then the fight ensues.
But Brian gets an in because he starts to talk to the ticket taker when he's sitting outside on the back steps of the movie theater. He doesn't know what to do. And that's where you see the Turk 182 graffiti on the wall, by the way. The too cool for school female ticket taker comes out smoking a cigarette on her break. And it turns out that she's a movie aficionado as well. So they bond over that. But they mention Alan Parker, and we just talked about.
I caught that reference. I'm like, oh, somebody does know him.
Yep, we just talked Bugsy Malone last episode.
Yeah, last episode.
The movies tell the lie that tell the truth. The world is full of lies. So meaning that it's a fictional story, but it's telling your truth to the viewer. It's telling the truth about life, while the world in general doesn't necessarily do that. So I thought that was very apropos. That was very touching.
Very, very, very deep. Again, with all this going on, you're cutting back and forth to Astro Blaster. And Diedrich Bader is playing this beaver man called Damocles. And he's got these giant buck teeth on his hat. Logic is playing Astro Blaster, by the way. And it's just like this fun movie within a movie kind of a thing.
But by the end of it, Melody herself gets banned for sticking up for Brian to the manager. The movie doesn't end with them seeing the movie. The movie just ends with them walking and talking.
Well, they actually did make it into the theater only to have her mother catch them.
Yes.
So Mom made me miss the 4:30 movie because I had to have dinner with her. And yet somehow Mom made it to the 7:30 movie the same time you did. I got the impression that this aunt was not really her aunt. And maybe Mom's date.
Could have been.
Know. So anyways, you're right. So they never get to see the movie. And so I think once you leave the theater and the boys have been separated, it does come to a little bit of a halt because now you just have Melody and Brian.
But they have to end that way. It can't end in the movie because you can't have this conversation that they have in the movie. So or otherwise, like I wouldn't want to be sitting next to these two if I was trying to watch Bucklick.
I agree.
They finally get together and they iron out the issues that they had in the past. Brian explains himself. He's just trying to be a nice guy by not taking her invitation.
You ruined your chance. How many times have you heard that? Just want to be a good guy. Well, guess what? I wasn't looking for a good guy.
She says yes when he asks her to be his girlfriend.
They go out.
Of course, he says at the end, maybe this day could be a movie. And there it is.
Because the one thing we didn't talk about, he's constantly voice recording himself in a little Walkman like tape device.
Right.
Because that's what all writers do. So this really is a Kevin Smith origin story. This is probably outside of Clerks, one of his most personal, is my take. I mean, it's set squarely in New Jersey. It's set squarely
I would hope
in 86
so.
when he's.
I really hope all this happened to him.
I could have done without the end scene where it ties it into Clerks. Because then, like, wait a minute, is this like Brian O'Hallahan's character origin? I'm like, no, that was Dante. That's because we do see them all back together at the end of the movie, trying to get Brian to get up the nerve to go and put an application into the convenience store.
Well, I think if Kevin Smith himself worked there, that was just what they were trying to say. If this character represents Kevin Smith, he's taking the next step. He's just like, he worked there. He's not one of the characters of Clerks. Is there a name for the Kevin Smith?
Yes, it's actually referred to as the View Askew-niverse.
Okay, so this is part of it then.
Askew-niverse.
So this is part of it. So yes.
So all these characters that show up, all these actors are playing different characters. Like, you don't get a Silent Bob, you don't get a Jay, you don't get any of these other characters showing up, but it does set squarely in that universe.
If you stick around after the credits, you do get some bloopers. There's a blooper reel at the very end. But before you get to the very end of the credits, there's a very long thank you list, which deserves a freeze frame.
Yes, thankfully. Well, you said that you actually did freeze frame it.
I did.
Thankfully for me, someone on IMDb committed to it. So,
but it was like a laundry list of everything that I thought was cool.
Sure. Well, think about it. If I had to sit right, I mean, I was influenced by everything from Laverne and Shirley to, Starlog or Oregon Trail, whatever it took, whatever route it took me to become who I am today.
And I love that he put, in parentheses, the actual 4:30 movie.
The actual 4:30 movie, yeah.
And right after that, he put 11 Alive, if you noticed.
Oh, I don't think I saw that.
Yeah. He didn't go as far as to say picks.
Oh, he talked about that. There's no way you could have ever won that game because it's just some guy on the other end of the phone waiting for you to say picks before he presses the button. Like a 2-second delay.
And here I am thinking all the kids are idiots. I didn't realize this as a kid. I'm like, this kid is stupid. What is he doing? I used to call them the big three, which were the syndicated channels. There's Channel 11, which was 11 Alive. There was Channel 5, WNEW, which was Fox 5 for a while, but now Fox has much different connotations than it did then. And then there was, of course, WOR TV, Channel 9. I think only 11 Alive made it to, of those three, made it to the thank you credits. That's Hollywood is on there, the Tom Bosley narrated show, talking about the Cunninghams again.
Okay. He did give a shout out to the ABC Sunday night movie.
Yes, he did.
So,
yes,
as well as Bosom Buddies. So there you go.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too. That was on there.
Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah. I didn't see Godzilla, though.
I don't see Gojira. Batman 66, $6 Million Man. Yeah, man, he's right in there. We're right there. The Muppet Show.
Yeah.
Mad Magazine. These are all things that I was a cracked. I didn't read Mad.
Oh, you were a cracked snob?
I wasn't a snob. I liked the artwork better. John Severin, I thought, just captured the, I don't want to look at these and have to guess what character that is.
What was the janitor's name?
Adaptations. Sylvester P. Sylvester.
Sylvester P. Sylvester?
I think that it was. I could be wrong, but I'm going to. That's my final answer. I'm locking it in. Someone look it up. If
there only could be like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit scene with Alfred E. Newman and Sylvester the janitor.
I wonder if they've ever and then Crazy was another one that had the clown. Was that Obnoxious?
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, all this stuff that we
all good stuff. Man,
this is what made us who we are.
Yeah.
So
and I appreciate Kevin Smith for putting it all in one place here in the 4:30 movie.
Yeah, this was very. I'm going to say that it was cute. It was schmaltzy, which is not a bad thing. I thought it was nice, warm nostalgia. It was.
Oh yeah, it was. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. My wife did as well. She's like, that was good. After
it was cute.
So we give buckets on this show.
Popcorn buckets.
You see what we do there? So 5 is the pinnacle, right? 5 is the most you can get. So what would we give to the 4:30 movie?
I am giving it a solid 4.3.
I don't think we've ever deviated from the
4. I'll go 4.
I will go 4.25 on the 4:30 movie.
There you go.
You know what? No, because it's the 4:30 movie, I got to go 4.5. It's got to be. It's 4:30,
right.
so
4.5.
I talked myself up as we went through this.
Guess what? I'll go up as well.
Okay,
4.5 around.
Go seek it out. If you're of our age, meaning if you're old,
that is true.
Yeah,
but I think even if you're not of this age, people tend to look back upon that time fondly, whether they were a part of it or not.
I'm still in disbelief that I'm taking the over 50 Centrum vitamin now.
Did you get your AARP card in the mail?
No, that hasn't come yet. As
soon as I turned 50, they sent that. And my mother's like, you ride that all the way to the bank. It was like $15 for the year, and you get all kinds of discounts. I'm like, I'll have to do that then.
I'll have to do that then.
Yeah, I didn't even sign up for it. They just mailed it to me. They're like, yeah, we see you're old now. So here you go. So, speaking of popcorn buckets, my son came back from the theater the other day, and his buddy had picked up the Venom popcorn bucket.
Yeah,
it's pretty solid looking. It can't hold more than a small bag of popcorn, and they don't even put popcorn in it when you buy those.
No, they're meant to be collectibles. They're not meant to be like put to practical use.
I get it that they're trying to. It's just another revenue stream for them. It's cool, but it would just collect dust. And I think the missed opportunity was the tongue coming out. Their review of Venom 3 was I could have waited for that to drop on service. And I will.
And I definitely will wait for it to drop.
I don't even need to wait because I don't think I need to watch it.
Speaking of the concession stand and what they sell at the concession stand, it is now time for our segment, and I believe it is your turn.
It is my turn. And the one thing we didn't mention about the 4:30 movie was Belly's mom making movie bacon with mayonnaise. Don't eat it yet. I didn't put the mayonnaise on it. I'm like, I tried my best to research this. Was this like a Jersey thing? Does Kevin Smith know somebody who really snuck bacon into the theater? But I could not find anything. And clearly there's no real movie bacon. So
my circulation system would be disgruntled at it. But back then I would not have turned down bacon if it was offered to me in a movie theater.
What about turkey bacon?
Turkey bacon could be good. Yeah, that's a little healthier. Yeah,
I know. It's just like, what's the point then? Bacon makes everything better, by the way. There's not a single thing that you can add bacon to and make it worse.
Even chocolate. Even chocolate.
Chocolate and bacon. You can get chocolate covered bacon.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So my concession treat is not really tied into either one of these movies, but it is tied into this time of year.
Okay.
So we are dropping. If you're listening to this on the day we drop, it is the day before Halloween. If I'm correct.
Correct. Yes, you are correct.
Okay. So we're at the tail end of October, but more importantly, we are in World Series fever right now. More so because in our area, the New York Yankees are in the World Series for the first time in like 15 years. So we are going to be talking about a candy bar named after a famous baseball player.
No, there's a couple of different ones.
There's two. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Ruth. We are not talking about Baby Ruth. We are talking about Mr. October himself, Reggie Jackson, and his eponymous treat, the Reggie Bar.
Now, this is back, right? This is back in stores.
So let's talk about this a little bit because it is making a resurgence. And we talk about this all the time, which is, these vintage candy online stores that sell some of this stuff. And it's like, is somebody out there remaking this, or is this like somebody just find a warehouse full of old Payday?
I hope not.
Right?
I hope not.
So I don't want to get bogged down too much in the baseball stuff because I don't really follow baseball, and I'm going to do a disservice. But in 1977, the New York Yankees signed Reggie Jackson as a free agent for a $2.96 million 5-year contract. which sounds like a lot of money even today, but not really. These guys are making billions of dollars. But his reputation, I guess he played for the Oakland A's and had taken them to a couple World Series, and his reputation would explode when he became a New York Yankee, specifically because of his performance in the postseason. In one World Series game in 1977, Reggie Jackson hit 3 home runs, solidifying his rock star status, helping them win the World Series that year. And with that, the Reggie Bar was born. Mm-hmm. So the Curtis Candy Company, which is the same company that developed and produced the Baby Ruth Bar, created the Reggie Bar. Apparently, somewhere in his illustrious career, he actually said, someday someone's going to make a candy bar named after me. So
him and Babe Ruth. So he was prognosticating
he
would be as big as Babe Ruth.
Yeah, that's a lot of hubris, but I guess he backed it up. And and then the Curtis Candy Company's like, all right, well, I guess maybe we'll do it. So on opening day in 1978, so this is the following season, the Curtis Candy Company and the New York Yankees handed every patron who entered the game at Yankee Stadium a free Reggie Bar. So between 77 and 78, they manufactured these candies and then mass-produced them and handed them out at the game.
Well, wait a second. Opening day, it's still hot out.
Opening day is going to be, it's going to be in the summer, yeah.
So by the time, I would like to see some of the crowd shots of this opening day.
Well,
people with just melted chocolate all over their face.
Because they didn't necessarily eat them. So, and there is footage out there of this because it's a very famous game and a very famous scene. So the Yankees were playing the White Sox in their opening day game. In the bottom of the first inning, Reggie Jackson came up the bat, and this was literally like the first time they had seen him since the World Series. And with a count of 3 balls and no strikes, on his 4th pitch, he hit a home run. Center field, boom, straight out. Crowd goes nuts. People are applauding. They're screaming. This is it, Mr. October. They started throwing Reggie bars onto the field. And it got to the point where they actually had to stop the game to clean them up because there were so many of them. And reports, like, I guess early on, Reggie was like, I thought they were booing me. I thought they were throwing these at me. And they didn't realize they were doing it out of celebration. So all these Reggie bars that probably go for a lot of money now were just thrown away. Yeah, and I'm sure that the groundskeepers were not happy. Like you said, probably. Some of them were half-eaten. Some of them were probably out of the wrapper.
Out of the wrapper, yeah.
Now it looks like you just stepped in a dog pile. You know? I round third and faceplant into a Reggie bar.
Did you ever eat the Reggie bar?
I have had Reggie bars. It's been a very long time. So what exactly is a Reggie bar? And I'm going to say right now, it's a bit of a misnomer because it's not a bar. It's a cluster.
It's like a little chunk of...
Yeah. So it's like this square blobbish... It's almost like if you ever had somebody make no-bake cookies, like with oatmeal and chocolate. It's just a blob. So it's a cluster of peanuts, caramel, and chocolate. That is it. But I think what separated it was that packaging. So if anybody, this strikes any kind of memory, this thing, the packaging itself is super bright orange. You got Reggie Jackson, full swing on the front of it, with big blue blocky Reggie with the exclamation point candy bar, and it's iconic. And
it actually sounds delicious to me now, but as a kid, I was not into any candy that had full peanuts in it, so I never ate the Reggie bar.
Interesting. I almost went with Payday only because they are my favorite, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to tie this in with the World Series right now. Which, by the way, the Yankees are in for the first time in 15 years, just like it was for him back in the day. But what was even more interesting, and I don't think I realized this, was that each bar came with a trading card.
Oh, I
so
didn't
you
know
actually
that
had a trading card, and I don't know if it was all the same trading card, or if it was
you're only getting a Reggie
Why
a
would
Reggie
you
trading card.
Other players?
Yeah.
But apparently Reports indicate that the confectionery treat made $11 million in the New York area alone in its first year in 1978. That's a lot of candy bar.
How long was it in existence back then?
Sadly, it only lasted until 1981. So you're talking less than 4 years. But it made a hell of a mark. So what happened was it wasn't even the fault of like sales. It was more the Curtis Candy Company ran into some problems with the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, and they lost the ability to manufacture the Reggie bar.
Oh.
So bureaucratic bullcrap led to the demise of the Reggie bar.
So it would have been available just like the Baby Ruth all through these years if that hadn't happened.
Yeah, well, so like you mentioned, it did come back into production in the 90s, manufactured by Clark Candies. Not only were they riding on the wave of the baseball card hype back in the 90s, everyone was chasing after, trading cards that were going up in value like the 60s and 70s. And they're like, oh, well, maybe the 80s and 90s will. But he was also inducted into the Hall of Fame. So they wrote on that. Unfortunately, that didn't work out so well either. And you're right. I think there's another company now that has brought it back. And you can go to Amazon right now and order them.
I was in a specialty candy shop not too long ago, and I saw one. On the I still didn't get it though. I should have.
You should have.
Yeah.
It would have been pretty wild if it was like dated 1990. What do? You just bring it home and you leave it? I mean, we collect trading cards in the pack, and there's gum in there that is stale as all hell. I guess if you just wanted a wrapper, I don't know. Would you even?
Oh yeah, I don't think it was. I think it was a newly produced because it was in a box of several Reggie bars.
Yeah. So I thought that was just a fun little tie-in with baseball going on right now. As we speak, I think that it's 1-1. The Dodgers won the first game. Yankees won last night. So
okay,
there you go.
All right, the Reggie bar. Let's leave the concession stand now. Let's go back to the theater. Actually, we can go home and just turn on the TV for this one. Because this never played in the theater. This was a TV movie.
And it is very much a TV movie.
Yes.
It is very much a made-for-TV movie. There's some made-for-TV movie acting going on.
When you look at the thing, it looks like TV sets. It's TV music. It's...
Yeah, I knew nothing about this. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Badronald. So again, this was a 4:30 movie, played on the show that aired on ABC from 1968 to 1981. And they would have theme weeks. And I'm not sure where Badronald fit into the theme weeks. Maybe it was like horror movie. I don't know. But
okay.
I was aware whenever it came up. And I would watch it. Starring Scott Jacoby as the titular character of
It's not
Ronald. Jacoby? Jacoby? Okay. It could be Jacoby.
Who we really haven't seen since.
Well, I know him best, surprisingly, not from this, but from The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane with Jodie Foster. So he actually plays the good guy in that. So he's the hero of sorts.
Oh, that's good. He had to cleanse the palate from this movie, huh?
And that was in 1976. So that was a couple of years later.
I did see that he was a voice actor on the Star Wars radio drama, but they just list him as cast. So I don't think he had any major character, but he was out there. He was doing stuff. I was more impressed with the fact that his mom, Mrs. Wilby, was Zira from Planet of the Apes.
Yes. You very rarely see, in movies that I watch anyway, you rarely see Kim Hunter out of her ape makeup, right? So this was very fun to watch because I'm like, yeah, that's Zira, listening to the voice. And
yeah, no, you want to see more of her. And she's doing a lot of acting here.
So this is almost like the way that the movie is set up. It's almost like a male Carrie. You've got like an overbearing mom, a single overbearing mom, but this time a son, and who's not doesn't have telekinesis, but he just wants to be a doctor.
I wish
that's a superpower.
That would have made it more interesting.
Oh,
But
you know what? You know what his superpower is? The ability to not poop and flush that toilet. They would have ratted him out in a heartbeat.
He's got to wait till they're gone, right? And before he can flush the toilet.
So what are you just pooping and not flushing? Honey, what's that smell?
I think there's something dead in the walls.
Yeah, correct. There's a couple plot holes in this, but you're right. So she gets mad at him when he says he's going out. So it's his birthday. We literally start with her giving him a cake, and she hands him this toolbox, which immediately comes into play. But we find out that his dad, the parents are divorced, Armand, and she not only was entitled to alimony, but refused it. But it sounds like they got divorced the day after his birthday. And I'm like, that's effed up. No wonder why this kid is like distraught.
So she refused alimony in return to get full custody, and he had no visitation rights. So he has not seen his father since the divorce.
I think it would be great if his dad just showed up and he was a chimp. Yes, but she gets mad. She's right. She gets mad because he's going to go out and visit his friend Lori, who's
not his friend.
Who's not his friend at all. No, she's not happy to see him at all. So
mom is right, actually. Like, you got to stay away from that girl. They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you.
I will say he's ahead of the curve because he's wearing those Sally Jesse Raphael glasses long before they were trendy. Like, I wonder if she saw this movie. She's like, I want red glasses. All the promotion and the trailers and the posters and the newspaper ads are touting he's a psycho killer. He's killed before. He'll kill again. The first one was an accident, and he had nothing to do with the other two deaths. There's 3 people who die in this movie.
Well, the movie is based on the book by Jack Vance, same title.
John Holbrook Vance.
John Holbrook Vance, otherwise known as Jack Vance.
Why would you nickname yourself Jack if your name is John?
I don't know. But apparently the book is a lot more disturbing than the movie.
So they really watered this down.
Sexual assaults in the book. There's sexual perversion in the book. I didn't read it, but I was just going over the synopsis.
This is very sanitized, and I don't feel that he's a threat.
Well, it's a TV movie, right? So
I know. Okay.
So he gets ridiculed. He goes over to this pool party that he's not invited to, just to ask this girl out who has no interest in him.
No. And at one point,
know your station, dude. Just try, don't set your sights so high. And then there's some dude, an adult, and with a mustache in the pool who's also ridiculing him.
But he just shows up out of nowhere, that guy. I literally wrote, where did this guy come from? Like, Take a page from Brian in the previous movie. Wait a year, and then call her up and ask her out. Don't show up in her backyard.
They boo him out of the backyard, basically, right? Get out of here.
Yeah.
So he's all upset, and he's cutting through backyards. And it happens. So it just so happens this girl's that he tried to ask out, her little sister is riding down a back alley on her bike. And he unwittingly walks into her, knocks her off her bike, and she starts to just dress him down and
berate him just like the older sister did.
Yeah, tell him how much of a loser he is. Then she ribs on his mother, and he can't have that.
Oh, don't you go after mama.
Don't talk about my mother. So he grabs her by the head. It looks like he's trying to squeeze her head.
She's got a bike helmet. Well, no, she took the bike helmet off.
She took the helmet off.
Yeah, which is what she needed.
And then he pushes her. And this is kind of for a TV movie. You see her head hit the cement block.
You think that was a stunt double? Like a little kid stunt double?
I don't know.
She does. Yeah, it's a thud.
And you see the splash of blood on the back of her head. So next scene, cut.
running.
I think maybe a cut to commercial after that, but because it went black and then it comes back, and then you see him come back home, and he's like, I don't know how to tell you, Mom, but it can't be that bad. It's bad. It is that bad.
Well, not only did I have an accident, but then I buried her. It's like, that's premeditated, dude. I found a shovel and buried her.
Suddenly, Mom is like a criminal master planner. She's like, she's got this whole plan out for him.
It's almost like she was waiting for this to happen. Well, at one point, maybe that's why Armand was like, you know what, this kid's no good. I'm out of here. She's like, well, one day I'm going to have to cover his tracks. So let's get him a toolbox now so that he knows enough to.
If only you didn't bury her. We could have made it look like an accident. It was an accident.
Okay, then why'd you bury her? Again, logic. Just.
And then, of course, I told the classic mom, I told you so. I warned you about those girls.
I warned you. See, I told you were going to accidentally kill one of them. Oh, Ronald.
Her train of thought goes to, oh, okay, we'll have to hide you till this dies down. When is it going to die down?
When is it going to die down? Right.
So her plan is that she's going to save money and then start a new life under different aliases. I'm not quite sure what the whole master plan is.
Who knows? But she's not doing so well because he has to give her meds a couple of times as she buckles over. And
she was having her gallbladder removed.
Gallbladder, yeah. He probably could have done that with those tools.
He probably could have. He seems very handy.
I don't know.
And not just with the tools. He loves to squeeze girls' heads. So, hey, we're not using this bathroom downstairs. I never use it.
Take the door off.
We got some extra wallpaper upstairs. We got some sheetrock.
Yeah, he's pretty handy.
Yeah.
He fixes that
but
up.
then so he does it, and it's like there's a wall there. I'm like thinking to myself on this viewing, okay, how do you get in now? You just walled yourself out of the bathroom. Oh, there's a secret compartment.
There's a secret door underneath the pantry.
Yeah,
which is there's a lot of canned peaches in there, by the way. I'm thinking that's what he's surviving on.
But that so obviously looks like it's a crawl space, and the police never check that out. It's just a square cut into the wall, his secret door.
You want to talk about the fact that this other family buys the house. When you buy a house, you normally get floor plans. What you think? Wait a minute, where's this extra space of it? We're supposed to have an extra bathroom here. I got 3 girls. I need an extra bathroom. Dabney Coleman needs his own space.
Yeah.
No, we're not paying attention to that. And like I said, there's a full toilet in there. He's got no fridge.
Do you think that there's a Dabney verse? Is this the same guy that was in 9 to 5, the boss?
No wonder why he was a dick. He's like, 3 women at home, 3 women at work. Yeah, this guy he's browbeat. He's not happy at all. So you're right. So it's like, how do you explain his disappearance? And then the cops show up and they start snooping around and you're like, don't you need a warrant?
Well, she says, go ahead, look. She doesn't, I guess maybe that's a part of her plan.
He's like, we were so well at putting that wallpaper up, you'll never see.
They've got a system, 2 knocks for danger, 3 knocks for safety. Even though he can hear everything that's going on in the house, he should.
Wouldn't it be easier to knock twice for danger and 4 times for safety? Like, it's a lot of work if there's danger.
Yep. Knock, slide your knuckles across the wall first, then.
Right. And he's just left. Oh, she also bought him those designer markers. And those are such a throwback to the 70s. You can get super high huffing those things.
Oh, really?
They are.
Well, maybe that's what was wrong with them towards the end of this movie.
That probably would. Well, listen.
I would be interested to see what the actual timeline is as well. Like, how long is he in that wall?
Yeah, you didn't get the impression that he was in there very long, but she does give him some supplies or makes him breakfast or something and then says, I have to go in for the surgery today and I'll be back in a week.
And gives him like condensed powdered milk or something to.
My grandmother used to use evaporated milk out of a can. But yeah, he just adds. And again, he's got a sink. So every time you turn the water on, where's that running water coming from? I think we have a leak in the walls, honey. We should check that out. No.
But they don't even put a box in front of his door, Even that would just lead to a bit more realism,
Well, he took the door off. You're talking about the trap door.
His trap door. Just put a box of cans in front of that.
Something, yeah. But the door he takes off in order to sheetrock up, like, what'd you do with that door? So now you got a door down in the basement. They're like, where'd this door go to? Like, these cops are at their house every 5 minutes, and they are the worst cops in the world.
These cops rival the cops in the black phone, let me tell you.
You're right. No, nothing going on here. What's in the basement? Nothing.
Who else buys black balloons? Right. We don't have to look into that whatsoever.
Correct. But they do find his jacket, which was torn on the fence. And this guy's like feeling it up. I'm like, whatever DNA evidence is on there is now gone. Like, you are literally the worst cops ever.
The worst cops ever.
I'm a cop. Sorry. They're the worst cop.
his mom, before she leaves for the last time, says, "You must stay in the lair." She calls it the lair.
Like he's a wizard. She's like just feeding into his
So
dementia.
Speaking of wizard, he's like made up this whole fantasy land and fantasy characters.
So this is a great, like, I would have loved to see this a little more. Like a fantasy world that's in his head.
He calls it Atlanta is the name of that place.
That does not roll off the tongue, dude. Atlanta. Yeah, it's bizarre.
If you had a fantasy sequence where he was the prince,
right.
and
and he starts introducing these three girls that move into the house into his storyline. Like that would have been interesting. Like he's now feeding into this fantasy, where he's like the hero.
But the most that you get is him putting the youngest girl's face into the princess, right? And then
his mom couldn't even buy him a sketchbook. Like he's just drawing on the walls. Yeah.
I think he's respectful of the walls. He was putting up those big sheets of paper on the walls.
Yeah.
With his drawings on.
He's like John Wayne Gacy. He's going to sell them later. And it's like, oh yeah, this was
And to make matters worse for Mom, they've got the nosy neighbor looking in.
Mrs. Kravitz. Yeah, who is in a sitcom because she's wearing the same clothes in every scene. She's Mrs. Schumacher. Miss Schumacher.
Miss Schumacher.
This was her last role. She literally died
on the steps in badronald.
That's correct. If you watch closely, she's not breathing. Yeah, she's nosy neighbor. She is nose in the window. At one point, the mom's bringing home groceries, and I'm like, "You're buying groceries for two? Like that's a dead giveaway." Like she's very kind of dismissive to the cops too. She's like, "Well, he must have ran away." Like she doesn't say my Ronald would never do that. She's like, "Oh yeah, he left a note. He says he made a mistake and he's running away." Oh, so you admit that he screwed up? Yeah, if you could find him, boy, I want to spank him.
Mom goes to have this operation, never comes back.
Never comes home. Next thing you know, your house is being infiltrated by Piglet himself.
By Piglet. Piglet is the real estate agent.
I would so buy a house from Piglet. I can't even do that voice. John Fiedler, who has been the voice of Piglet since 1977, although he died in.
But as soon as that guy opened his mouth, like said to my wife, because Piglet is her favorite Disney character.
Yeah.
Like I think that's Piglet. And listen.
Yeah. But he sneaks out. Like he's sneaking out of you had one job, stay in the wall.
And just as he goes out, who's looking in the window? Schumacher.
Mrs. Schumacher.
He approaches her. Is he going to kill her? Because he approaches her menacingly.
How else could he approach her?
Yeah.
And then she falls down the stairs and that's it. She's dead.
Yeah.
So then he takes her body?
That would have been an accident all in itself, really, because he didn't touch her. But no, he takes her body and buries her under the house.
Oh, without anybody knowing.
He's just like a gravedigger, this kid.
Yeah, he's just in the wrong profession.
Oh, I can bury another one. Look at that. So Piglet has some dialogue saying that the father sold the house. Like, so maybe the father still owned it.
Yeah, his name was probably still on the lease, on the deed.
Yeah, but you never see the father still. He's
correct.
Just not present here in the movie.
No, and would this other family know about the murder? Oh yeah, that's the Wilby house.
Maybe they're out of towners. Maybe they came from out of town. They just don't know.
I would think Piglet would have let them know. You got to tell somebody.
All these real estate agents in horror movies, they keep that information to themselves, or they're never going to make a sale ever. So I don't begrudge Piglet for that.
Yeah, if no one else is going to say anything, I'm not going to say anything.
He's too busy working on that tree that fell over on the blustery day that he's got to move that property.
Oh bother! Oh dear.
And Ronald seems to like to take baby nibbles off Hershey bars. If you notice,
he's got to make it last. He can't be a Gavone. He eats too much chocolate. He's going to have to poop. And then he's going to have to flush a toilet. And then the whole gig is up.
But once the house is emptied of all Mom's furniture, right, in between, before the family buys it, he walks around and he's making peepholes. He's making trap doors.
Wait a minute. These holes were not here before.
He's making access points all through the house.
This is where he gets in bad territory. I'm just going to keep living here. This is funny. This is not going to move.
The family comes in to look at the house. Why would this house, there's 4 bedrooms and only 1 bathroom. That's weird, isn't it?
Like I said, you would get a floor plan.
That'd be a deal breaker. Just 1 bathroom. Yeah. I've got to put one in myself. No, I'm going to keep looking.
Yeah.
Piglet actually answers that by saying, well, bathrooms just weren't important when this house was built. I'm like, what?
They didn't poop back then. I don't know what you're eating there, sir, but clearly you need to work on your diet.
Piglet just poops in the same trowel that he eats from, probably.
Oh, Piglet, you're such a pig.
So, yeah, Dabney has 3 daughters here.
Althea, Ellen, and Babs.
Babs.
And I said, oh, Babs is going to die first. I'm calling it right now.
Because Babs is like the Mulder of this family. She believes in all the paranormal stuff. And she's the only one that can hear stuff going on in the walls.
What's in that wall? Did you hear that noise? I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy.
And Ronald picks her out for whatever reason as his princess.
Yeah, she's way too young for you, dude.
Mm-hmm. When the camera glides over his lair, you see him like writing things like Ronald loves the princess and stuff, weird stuff like that.
Again, this is where I want to see more of this fantasy realm that's now building up in his head. Clearly, Mom did not leave him a washcloth either.
No.
Because every time we see him, he's more and more disheveled and he's got paint all over his face and on his clothes.
Yep. Can't even splash water on that face. Nope. They're going to hear it. So I can't do that.
Yeah.
So the boy, one of the girls gets a boyfriend and he happens to be the brother of the girl that was killed.
And he waits until he's in the house at dinner to be like, oh, I didn't think I'd ever be in this house. Why? What are you talking about? What? You don't know about the the kid who used to live here killed my sister. Dum, dum, dum.
And one of the girls, it might not even have been Babs. This house is evil.
Okay, you're right. No, just a guy in the wall.
And then Ronald starts to draw that really weird, and it turns out to be Dwayne that he's drawing, the evil Duke, he calls it.
Dwayne Matthews Band. Yes, I did.
And now he's raiding their fridge when they're not home as well. He just comes out, has his way with the house while nobody's
What I would have loved is if he added stuff to the shopping list that was on the refrigerator. Choco bars, please. From X-Lax, I'm all plugged up now.
Yeah, he wants the giant size Hershey bars, please. I only take little tiny bites at a time. I need it to last.
Right. He's like Damocles in the first movie. His little teeth. No. Oh, Ronald. Yes, Ronald's just very misunderstood.
But the mom actually says, "What is happening to the food around here? I had 12 hard-boiled eggs." Talk about needing a toilet break after eating.
Where's all the toilet paper going?
And they say, "Oh, it must be Dwayne, your boyfriend."
I'm gonna throw Dwayne under the friggin' bus.
So, of course, the parents go on a trip at one point and leave the girls alone in the house.
And then the girls leave Dwayne alone. What happened to those burgers they picked up?
They didn't come back with anything. There was no bag in their hand.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Did they eat it on the way? They were bringing Dwayne. They were bringing him burgers.
Their sister was missing, and they go to get burgers. So the parents leave, and everybody's at school or whatever. So the house is empty. So Ronald comes out, as he is wont to do when nobody's home, and he goes into Babs' bedroom, and he's looking around. Eventually, he puts up the giant picture of the princess. So at some point, Babs comes home from school. She goes into her room. She sees this big poster, and Ronald's behind the door. And he chases her through the house. She runs next door to Mrs. Schumacher's, who's not there because she's already been buried under their house.
She's underneath the steps, yeah.
And Ronald ends up locking her in the cellar. For what purpose, I don't know, but he locks her in the cellar.
That's where you want to keep your princesses. Mm-hmm.
So then he goes back to the house. To his house, and the girls are all freaking out because Babs has not come home, and the police come over. They don't want to hear about it. The police, don't worry about it. She'll be home later.
These cops are like every 5 minutes they're there.
Yeah,
it's like this is a troubled house.
Yeah, but they don't see that. This is just like their daily routine. Stop by the
Nor do they put
house.
2 and 2 together and be like, well, this is where that kid that we knew killed that girl. And now all of a sudden, other crap's going on here.
But yes, this is the part where the two girls are left. They don't know where their sister is, but Dwayne's hungry because he's always hungry, so he wants burgers. So they go out to get Dwayne hamburgers. He puts on the game, makes himself at home, sits on the couch, and this is where Ronald, that famous scene, comes up behind him and grabs him and knocks the couch over.
Yeah, I was pretty convinced that he was actually going to kill this kid. No, he just kidnaps him.
Nope, just kidnaps him. So so there is a point to your, he's not threatening because he just ties him up. He hog ties him in his lair. So what his end game here is, I don't know.
Right. Like, how are you going to explain this?
Yep.
You got a dead body under the house. You got a girl already taped up, and now you got Dwayne.
But here's another scene that kind of stuck with me is that when the girls come home, no burgers in hand. I don't know what happened to that. But they're like, well, where's Dwayne? And the couch is knocked over and they're looking around and they're freaking out. And suddenly one of the girls,
the hole,
the light shines on her face from the hole because Ronald he forgot to put this tape up on the
It's actually
inside.
It's a great reveal, to be honest with you. It's very cinematic.
So she sees the light is coming from his little peephole in the wall. She goes to look through it, and there's his eye. Right. And he bursts in, I think it was in slow-mo. Actually, he bursts through the wall. Yeah.
All that work for that sheetrock, and he just destroys it. He had to get a running start.
Yeah.
There's no way that you just fall through that wall. But again, it's a nice scare jump.
So he tries to run out of the house, but Babs, in the meantime, has escaped her cellar prison, has called the police, and they're there waiting for him. They pull up as soon as he comes out of the house.
And what's the first thing that happens when he falls down? Mommy! Mom! Ronald. This is the worst episode of the Brady Bunch ever. And they do find Babs. And they couldn't even clean her face because he touched her face, and now she's got paint all over her face.
Well, I assume that Babs called the police and got out of the house and was waiting for them, and they pulled up as soon as. Yeah.
Well, they're right around the corner. These guys are there, like I said, every 5 minutes. So we'll be a state. All right, let's go.
And it ends on a close-up of the drawing of the prince, which was supposed to be Ronald.
Prince Norbert.
Yeah.
He's not very good at names. Atlanta, Norbert.
I don't even know what the prince has. It was some other unwieldy name.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this kid, he could have turned into like a very well-known child writer. He could have been creating fairy tales.
He was going to med school. That was his whole deal, right? That was what the mother wanted him to do. He was going to be a doctor.
No parent wants your kid to go into creative.
I think there was actually a band that named themselves Badronald.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I do know that Adam Carolla tends to cite this movie a lot on his show and on his podcasts. So you're not alone. This definitely affected. I did see there was a French remake in 1992.
I wonder if they went the route of the book.
I would think that they would go a little bit darker. I mean, this for a made-for-TV movie. It's bizarre, but it is a lot of false advertising.
That's all I needed to see, though, was to hear Ernie Anderson's voiceover and Ronald grabbing that guy on the couch to make an impression.
Yeah, I think if I saw this, I mean, again, it's got cult status. If I saw this at a younger age, it probably would have had a bigger impact on me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it is quirky, and sure, now all of a sudden you're like, oh, what's on my walls?
And like I said, it was released initially on the ABC, what was it? Friday night movie, maybe?
Yeah, I think
Sunday night movie.
Sunday night movie.
On October 23rd, 1974. And then it kind of got relegated to the 4:30 movie.
Okay.
But at 74 minutes, it was the perfect length. They probably didn't even have to cut anything for commercials because the 4:30 movie was a 90-minute.
What could you cut?
Yeah.
All the fantasy sequences.
And I got this is available on Blu-ray, and I actually bought the Blu-ray so I could have it on my shelf.
Is there any bonus material on there?
There is not. No. But it is cleaned up. It's pristine.
Well, I mean, I paid $2.99 on Prime, and it's pretty clean. It looks pretty solid. Like I said, it's got that. It looks like it was made on tape for TV back in the day. Now, is the Blu-ray, like, is the aspect ratio changed? Is it like full screen, or did they?
No, it's the square. It's like cut off on the sides, like you normally see a TV.
Yeah, that's the way it was meant to be.
Yeah. It did make a list in the What Were They Thinking? The 100 Dumbest Events in Television History.
Wow.
This is a book. This is a book by author David Hofstede. He ranked Bad Ronald at number 90 on the dumbest events in television history.
Was number 1 Rob Lowe and Snow White singing?
I would love to know what number 1 was.
That's got to be up there.
Yeah. I would love to know.
This is an oddity, and if you have never experienced it, you probably should. I would have liked just a tail end, like Ronald spent the next 25 years in prison, and now he's teaching fellow prisoners how to make cakes or something. I don't know. Nothing. He gets caught by the police, and that's the end of it.
That's the end of it. Yep, they take him away.
We never know.
Does the family move? Do they finally? They like, oh, there's a bathroom here.
Son of a. There is a bathroom. Dad's like, it's mine. It's my toilet. Dad's where's Dad? He's pulling a Ronald. In a restroom. He's in a Ronald wing. I would like to see a sequel where he exacts revenge on these girls for ratting him out. Now he's like a Michael Myers. He's just
it could be like a Joker sequel where it's a musical. Where Babs finally falls in love with him.
Right. And it goes into fantasy sequences.
Yeah.
Where, now he's all on board. He is Prince Norbert.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got to go and rescue his princess who, I smell sequel.
I smell low buckets.
Would this be Badder Ronald, the sequel?
Worse Ronald?
Worse Ronald? Bad Ronald?
Bad Ronald. Bad Ronald.
I blame the parents. Clearly. Getting divorced the day after his birthday.
Yeah.
Did not go well for this kid. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give it 3 1/4.
Really?
I'm not going to crap on this. Like I said, if I saw it back in the day, I probably would have said, wow, this is because it's odd. It's weird.
Definitely, to say the least.
Only looking at it as an adult going, well, the first one was an accident and he never killed anybody else. Don't sugarcoat it by saying 3 other people died. He had nothing to do with it.
But this is the kind of movie, though, that was, I'm going to say, water cooler talk at the grade school, even though there wasn't really a water cooler. But this is the kind of story. Then Ronald killed this girl on the bike, and then he lived in the walls. And then this other family came in.
This sounds like sinister. Yes. Yeah. It doesn't play sinister.
And that's exactly what the conversation was after this was on the 4:30 movie. If I saw it and nobody else did, and me trying to tell the other kids.
My friend John his dad used to take him to the movies all the time, and he'd come back and he would literally tell, like, I remember long before I ever saw Terminator, he saw it in the theater, and he would come back and he just like spent 40 minutes telling me the entire movie.
Yeah.
And that's how he lived. It's like, what? Oh, and then what? That sounds crazy. Yeah. I got to see this movie. Yeah. Maybe one day I'll buy the Marvel adaptation. I'll read that first.
I'm going to go 3.5. I know it's limitations, but I still have fond memories of it, and I hold it very high. 3.5 buckets out of 5 for me.
Fair enough.
All right. So what else did we do since the last episode?
You can go first because I just yammered on endlessly about my concession stand tree.
Well, what I did, I've jumped on the bandwagon of the vinyl resurgence, even though now I'm reading that the vinyl sales are down and maybe I'm too late. But we went out and got ourselves a decent turntable. We got ourselves, just to get in the holiday spirit, the 2-record set of the Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack.
Oh, I thought you were going to go Chipmunks.
Nope. That may be coming. We also got the soundtrack to Charlie Brown Christmas on vinyl.
Oh, nice. A lot of people yesterday in Sleepy Hollow dressed up as Charlie Brown.
Oh, really?
I got a rock.
And I've been pulling out all the old vinyl records that I've had locked away for years and years and years and listening to them. And I tell you, there is something to this vinyl resurgence. There's
an
nothing
audiophile anyways.
There's nothing quite like listening to those little pops and ticks.
And hisses. So do you notice a difference between like newly pressed vinyl versus something from like 1976?
Oh,
or is it really just the same? I would think there's got to be an increase in technology.
yeah, I would say that if there's any difference, it's not like the volume. Volume's the same, but the mix,
The
the
channels, yeah.
mastering,
Okay, yeah.
because listen, like putting on an old Beatles record that was first pressed in 1973,
Yep,
like I
yep,
have, you hear like it's very compressed,
right.
it's not as wide open as a recording from today is. So in that case, yes, there's a difference. But I still just love that sound. It's
Okay, yeah.
this is said by everybody that talks about vinyl, but there's a warmth to that crackly. And every once in a while there's a skip that's, kind of gets under my skin.
But you used to be able to fix that by putting a penny on the top of the
that's
needle
what's
arm.
good about this turntable is that you can adjust the weight of the needle on the back of the arm. When I first played The Nightmare Before Christmas, there was one spot that was skipping, and then I adjusted the weight. I played it again, and it didn't skip.
And it didn't skip.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But I think it's, just like the 430 movie, we talk about like the nostalgia of listening, because more than likely, if you're listening to music as kids, you probably listened to that with your parents. That's really the only, medium we had before cassettes came in and then CDs.
Yeah. The first album I listened to all the way through when I was a kid on the turntable, and it was my father's vinyl copy of Sgt. Pepper. And I absconded with that. And I still have it in my collection.
Does he ask you every now and again, hey, do you see my Sgt. Pepper? No.
I think he just thinks that it's lost to time, but it's lost to me.
Wow. You think he'd be happy that at least you still have it? What do you mean? You used to have that? I thought I lost that. That's fantastic. Very cool. So Nightmare Before Christmas, that is a solid movie right there.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't watched it yet this year. I think we're going to do that tonight, as a matter of fact.
Okay. All right. What were we? Oh, Hocus Pocus 2 was on the other day and we were watching it. But when we were out again, Sleepy Hollow, big Halloween parade, and they have all kinds of food trucks and ice cream trucks and bubble machines and stuff. And a bunch of these kids were doing the luau dance from the opening of Lilo and Stitch. And I was like, I want to go dance with them. Like, it was like a lot of fun. So anyways, so I leaned in to this whole 430 movie thing, this made for TV movie, and I finally watched something that has been mentioned on this show numerous times and have never seen, which was Gargoyles.
Really?
I have never watched it, and there it was on Prime last night, and I'm like, oh, I'm watching this. This is freaky. This is like, I can't, if I watch this as a kid, I'd still be afraid.
Yeah, well, the most famous scene is the gargoyle at the end of the bed.
At the end of the bed.
Yeah.
But it's unsettling. And it's like, yeah, these things are real and they're chasing you. The whole opening sequence of the history of gargoyles. And again, you talk about the 430 movie with the ominous voice telling you all this stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, no, they've been here for years. And
yeah. Now I hope to cover this movie.
We need to cover this because these guys are like walking, breathing slee stacks, and these costumes are fantastic. And you get a skeleton like right up front. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to show you something. Come here, come over here. The main character he can't act. He's very bad. But wow, I can't believe it's taken me this long to see this thing.
It's free, included with Prime?
Yes. Yeah, it's on Prime.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe we'll have to shoehorn this in somehow.
It didn't look as clean as Bad Ronald, but fine, whatever. You know, it was wild. Because they got like these hawk beak looking with the wings. Yeah, no, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, there's an aliens aspect to this as well, with the eggs at the end.
Well, I don't even remember like it being on my radar as a kid, but I'm going to tell you right now, I probably would have shied away from it because I never liked those Frankenstein, mummy, Wolfman, Draculas, because they're all real. They're all like my size. Like these could be hiding in the shadows. They could be right around the corner.
And what used to really freak me out about horror movies in the 70s is the use of slow motion. Because whenever these gargoyles are on, it's if I remember correctly, they
they film it in slow motion.
That adds to the although the one that gets hit by the car, he's just walking right out there, and I'm like, damn, it looks like this stunt guy gets hit by the truck. They cut right as he's like walking. I'm like, wow.
But yeah, one day we will. Now you've convinced me we need to cover gargoyles.
Yeah, I was like blown away. I'm like, this would have messed up my mind as a kid.
Yeah.
And I don't know what year it came out.
72.
72? Yeah, it would have been like 4.
From that point on, it was on TV all the time on Saturday afternoon or what have you. So
nope, I would have, even if I had come across it, I would have stayed away from it. Give me Godzilla, give me King Kong, give me any of these larger than life creatures that I can see coming a mile away. Give me something like this that could very well be hiding in a tree or around the corner, and I'm not a fan. So.
Well, speaking of larger than life creatures,
yeah, you like that?
Yeah,
segue.
You fed me that one.
As promised.
Next episode, our famous TMI Thanksgiving Monster Marathon.
I cannot believe we're marching right into November again.
I know.
Just your flu.
It did. It just seemed like we would. What did we do last time? Conga and something else. I don't remember what the Godzilla movie was, but this time we've been concentrating on the Showa Godzilla movies up to this point. It's been you said the 7th.
Yeah.
Of these marathons that we've done. But this time we're leaving the Showa era behind, and we're going into the 80s of God. And this was like a dearth of kaiju movies, was the 80s. This one was square in the middle of the 80s, though. Yeah. Godzilla 1985. A huge deal for me because this was the first Godzilla movie I saw in a theater.
Ooh, wow.
Now, this is the American version.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about this because I'm a little confused, but because it's under 2 different names.
Yeah, correct? The Return of Godzilla.
Return of Godzilla.
Is the Japanese version. The American version is now out of print, and that is Godzilla 1985. And just like the original Godzilla King of the Monsters, it has scenes of Raymond Burr cut into it.
They bring back Steve Martin.
Yes, they do.
They bring back his character.
Yep. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's rights or what have you, Godzilla 1985 is not available through any official channels.
That's weird.
I had to get myself a bootleg copy, so I'll be watching that for next episode. For Jeff, I sent him a link on the Internet Archive's website where they have the full-length movie of Godzilla 1985. Which is 1985.
A fascinating website, by the way.
Yes.
We have found some crazy stuff on there.
So yeah, we'll be talking about the American version, which is 85, not the Return of Godzilla, although I will watch that as well just to bring any relevant differences.
Because that is going to be my question. What are the differences?
Yeah. So this is the beginning of what they call the Heisei period of Godzilla films, which started with Godzilla 1985 and ended with Godzilla versus Destoroyah. So, Destoroyah. So yeah, this is the first time we're venturing into anything other than the Showa era. And on the other hand, we always try to bring a King Kong into this as well.
Yeah, we're running out of Kong movies.
We are. This is one of the last ones.
This is
again, going 80s. This is the following year, 1986. The sequel to the 1976 Dino De Laurentiis King Kong Lives.
Wait a minute. He died in the first one.
But he lives. Yet he lives.
But he died. What? So you want to know something fascinating, which was I have a new store that just opened up in my Jefferson Valley Mall down here. Yeah. It's called Mystery Vault. And this guy's got just a mix of old wrestling figures and video games and Pokemon cards and comic books and albums. And I brought a whole 2 big box loads, and I traded him so I could finally get my Star Wars Topps box for the first series. But up on the wall is the video release poster for King Kong Lives.
Really?
And I said, I was looking at it, and he goes, you know anybody who would like that? I'm like, I sure do. I don't know how much wall room you have anymore. I've given you a bunch of stuff over the years, but I'm like, I know somebody who would like that.
Right.
He was asking $50. And I'm like, maybe I trade.
It probably was in a blink and you'll miss it theatrical run. Because I never saw it in the theater. No. I only saw it on video.
Oh, it's been years since I've seen this.
Yeah.
I wonder if Rick Baker returns as the Kong?
We'll have to see.
I guess you'll have to tune in next episode and find out.
Yes.
When I do my homework. I ask questions I can't answer now.
Well, this was a fun one, wasn't it?
It was. I was tickled to finally watch Bad Ronald. So I had a point of reference when somebody brings it up. Now we got another
4:30 movie in Kevinsmith too.
Yeah, no, definitely go check this out. It's streaming right now. It was $14.99, which is pretty much your cost of a ticket to get into the theater. You own it outright. It really is a cute, fun movie.
Yeah,
I did enjoy it. I do like the main characters, the actors, and it was fantastic. I enjoyed it. Well done. Kudos, yes. King of all nerds.
Yes.
So until next time, I guess hang in there and we'll see you.
Yep. And thank you for listening.
Okay. And stop sneaking into the movie theaters. You're going to get caught. Now I have one last question, which is, did you eat all my movie bacon? You fed it to Ronald?
I fed it to Hosehead. Our dog came with us. He's got some leftover beer in his bowl, and he's got some bacon as well. Hosehead.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Hosehead.
If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. Also, be sure to email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on all of our socials. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads. Just go to tmiconfessionalspodcast.com. All of our links are there. And leave us a 5-star review. See you at the concession stand. You know what his superpower is? The ability to not poop and flush that toilet.